I get ranked #1 leadership thinker in the world twice. My intellect, compared to Peter Drucker, was that of a 10-year-old child. I was very fortunate. I was on his advisory board for 10 years. So I got to spend many days with Peter Drucker, the world's authority on management. He taught me many lessons. One of the great lessons he taught me is we spend a lot of time helping leaders learn what to do. We do not spend enough time teaching leaders what to stop. And we're going to begin by talking about what to stop. And as I do this, I don't want you to think of this as a theory. I want you to think about this for yourself. What does this mean to you? Now, I was interviewed in the Harvard Business Review and asked a question. What is the #1 problem of all of these successful people you have worked with over the years? What was my answer? Winning too much. What does this mean? If it's important, we want to win. Meaningful, we want to win. Critical, we want to win. Trivial, we want to win. And not worth it, we want to win anyway. Winners love winning. In the game of life, you're winners. If you weren't winners, you wouldn't be here. It's hard for winners not to win. Next classic problem of smart, successful people is called adding too much value. Adding too much value. Now, what does that mean? I'm young, smart, enthusiastic. You're my boss. I come to you with an idea. You think it's a great idea. Rather than just saying great idea, our tendency is to say, that is a nice idea. Why don't you add this to it? The problem is the quality of the idea may go up 5%. My commitment to execute the idea just went down 50%. It's no longer my idea, boss. Now it's your idea. Incredibly difficult for smart, successful people not to constantly add value. And then just a couple of other things. Passing too much judgment. 4 words to help you be a better coach at work and a family member at home. What are these 4 simple words? Help more, judge less. Now this stuff is easy in theory. It's difficult in practice. It's very difficult. The people that I coach are far from stupid people. These are brilliant people. They'll tell you this stuff is hard to do. In my role as an executive coach, for many years, I've had a very unique billing philosophy. I did not get paid 1 cent if my clients didn't get better. I got paid nothing during the entire engagement. They got better, I got paid. They didn't, I got better, it was free. Better was not judged by my client or me. Better was judged by everyone around my client. There's a great way to test if someone really believes what they're saying. A simple question. I've never seen it fail. If you want to know if somebody believes what they're saying, you can ask one question and quickly find out. What's the question? Do you want to bet on it? Do you want to bet on it? Now, if they say, I believe it, I don't want to bet on it, they don't believe it. They say, here's the money, they believe it. I bet on this every time. When you get paid for results, you learn a little bit of humility. So I asked my friend Alan a question. What should I learn about coaching from you? He gave me an answer that changed my life. He said, Marshall, your biggest challenge as a coach is called customer selection. If you pick the right customer, your coaching process will always work. If you pick the wrong customer, your coaching process will never work. And he said, never make coaching about your own ego and yourself and how smart you think you are. Make it about the wonderful people you work with and how proud that you are of them. Now, I'm going to teach you something called feed forward. This is a very positive, upbeat way to help yourself and other people get better. It's kind of a different room layout, but we're going to experiment with just a couple people. Here's how feed forward works. In feed forward, you're going to be asked to pick one area for improvement. And you're going to say, here's what I want to get better at, and here's why it's going to help me if I get better at this. So everybody's going to pick one area for improvement. Not 30, not 50, not 100. How many? Just one. In feed forward, you're in 2 roles. Role number 1 is called learn as much as I can. So everyone I coach, I tell them, in Feed Forward, you're going to try to learn as much as you can. Role number 2 is called help as much as I can. So in Feed Forward, you're either learning from other people or you're helping other people. Learning is good, helping is good, so it's all good. Now, what are the rules of Feed Forward? The first rule of Feed Forward is no feedback about the past. No feedback about the past. We spend too much time in life talking about the past anyway. And rule 2 is you can't judge or critique ideas. In Feed Forward, you learn to ask for ideas. You don't critique the ideas. So I'm a Buddhist. Buddha said, only do what I teach if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, it's okay. You don't have to do it. Just if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't work for you, it's okay. Just don't do it. In Feed Forward, you learn to ask for ideas. You don't promise to do everything. You just promise to listen to people and think of the ideas and thank them. Yet people say this is positive, useful, helpful, or even fun. Well, why? Well, it's fast. It talks about a future you can change, not a past you can't change anyway. It's positive. And when you give people ideas, they say thank you. They don't make fun of you. They don't put you down. They just thank you. And if they want to do it, they do. And if they don't, it's okay. So this is kind of going to be a center of how I'm going to teach you about coaching. Now, Peter Drucker also said, the leader of the past knew how to tell, and the leader of the future will know how to ask. Why? In the new world, most of us manage people called knowledge workers. What is the definition of a knowledge worker? They know more about what they are doing than the boss does. How many of you in a leadership role manage people who know more about what they are doing than you do? Yeah, most of us. You can't tell them what to do and how to do it. Why? They know more than you. You have to ask, you have to listen, and you have to learn. Step 1, ask. After we ask for input, the first thing we want to do is the last thing that we should do. What's that? Ask for input, then express my opinion. If I ask you for input and immediately start talking, what does this sound like? Defensiveness, denial, rationalization, making excuses. Fight that incredible urge to make excuses and just listen. Now, the next thing is think. Who is the greatest leader I've ever met in my life? I've had the honor of working with many, many wonderful leaders, many great people. The greatest leader I've ever met, and my friend Alan Mulally would also say the greatest leader he's ever met, Peter Drucker said the greatest leader he's ever met, is a woman named Frances Hesselbein. So just an amazing woman. She does one thing before she talks that almost none of us do. What's that called? Think. What do most of us do when we get feedback? What do most of us do when we get angry? What does she do? Breathe and think not only, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Easy in theory, difficult in practice. Now, the next thing is thank people and don't punish the messenger. Thank those people who are trying to help us and don't punish them. Now, the next thing is respond. I do not know much about much, but I know a whole lot about how to respond to feedback. Are all of you familiar with the term 360-degree feedback? You know this term, right? I'm a pioneer in this field. Now, how do I teach all of my coaching clients to respond to feedback in a way that's very positive, simple, and focused? What do I say? They talk to people and say, you know, first, thank you very much for talking to Marshall and giving me all this feedback. I do not know who said what. I know many people took the time to help me, and I want to say thank you. Then they say, much of my feedback is positive. So they talk about the good things. They don't just talk about the negatives. Here are the things I'm proud of. Thank you. I don't know who said what, but I feel good about these things. Then everybody picks something to improve. They say, for example, I want to be a better listener. Then they apologize. Everyone I coach apologizes. They say, if I haven't listened to you or the other people, I'm sorry. Please accept my apologies. There's no excuse. Now, they don't ask for more feedback about the past. Feed forward. They then say, I'm not going to ask you for more feedback about the past. I can't change the past anyway. I'm going to ask you for ideas for the future. If you had to have ideas to help me be a positive and open-minded listener in the future, what would they be? Whatever that person says, I teach them, sit there, shut up, listen, say thank you. Never promise to do everything. Leadership is not a popularity contest. So what they say is, I'm going to listen to everybody's ideas. I'm not going to promise to do everything. I'm just going to listen and do what I can. I'm going to involve you and ask you to help me get better. Then they say, I can't change the past. I can change the future. And I cannot get better at everything. I can certainly get better at one thing. And if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to help me get better. How much time does that take? Just a couple of minutes. The next step is involve that person. And then the next step is change. We are going to finish with the best coaching advice you're ever going to receive. Life is short. Have fun. Have fun. Life is short. Number two, do whatever you can do to help people. The main reason to help people has nothing to do with money or status or getting ahead. The main reason to help people is much deeper. The 95-year-old you is going to be proud of you because you did and disappointed if you don't. And if you do not believe that this is true, interview any CEO who has retired. I've interviewed very many and asked them a simple question. Please tell me, what are you proud of? None ever told me how big their office was. All they've ever talked about is the people they've helped. And the final advice, also the same. Go for it. Your world's changing, your industries are changing, your country's changing. Do what you think is right. You may not win, but at least you tried.